Good morning. I'm out on my walk today and came across this sign. Trout anglers. It says, "Know the rules, harvest season." And made me think. I'm going to walk while I talk because I'm sure you don't want to continue looking at that sign. Hey, there's a beautiful little birdie right there. I don't know if you can see it. He's just a moving right there. But anyways, brings me to the harvest season. And we have to realize that there's a season for a reason. Each season has its own reason in this whole scheme of life. And it made me think of farmers. And let's talk about farmers today. Because if you think about it, the farmer has to go through the seasons. He has a season where he needs to prepare the ground, the earth. He has to till the soil. He has to treat the soil. He has to take the weeds out of the soil. And then there's the planting season. He has to take the seed and he has to plant it into the earth. After he's prepared the earth and the ground, he has to plant that seed for whatever the crop he is trying to get. Be it corn, soybean, alfalfa, whatever it has to be, he has to plant a specific seed and he has to treat the ground in a specific way for each thing he's trying to harvest at the end of the season. And then after the planting season, he has the growth season. That doesn't mean he just gets to sit back and do nothing. Oh, no. He still has to treat the earth. He still has to take and treat to make sure that the weeds don't overtake what he has planted, for his good crop can grow. And he has to wait, and each crop has a different amount of time to wait for. Corn takes longer than, let's say, alfalfa or wheat. Maybe he's just trying to grow things for his cattle to feed. Maybe it's planting tomatoes and squash and all this kind of stuff, because there's all kinds of different farmers. But either way, he had to prepare the earth, then he had to plant, and then he didn't just get to sit back and do nothing. He had to still work with the soil. He still had to work with the fields. And then he had to have rain. And then if they doesn't get rain, they have to come up with a watering system. And then after all of this, and after all the months and weeks that go by, then he has to take and harvest. And that doesn't mean it's all joyous, easy work. No. The harvest sometimes is the hardest part of the work, because they have to make sure the weather is right. The soil is good enough to drive the tractors on to make sure they can harvest. And then after all of that, they still have to sell their goods after the harvest. They have to sell it. And I was told a long time ago that, let's say cornflakes, the cereal, that the farmer who puts the cornflakes inside that box makes less money than the guy who printed the box. So you think about that. So the farmer goes through all these big seasons and all this preparation and all this growth time and everything else, and then he makes less than the guy who prints the box. But a farmer does it because he loves the earth, he loves the soil, and he loves God, and he loves doing for other people. And it made me think, I don't think I've ever met a farmer or ever heard of a farmer who didn't believe in God. Think about that. And I believe the reason is because the farmer works with the earth, works with nature, has to depend on the rain and the sun. And these are all gifts from God. And they have to pray for God. And it made me think, if you think about it, our relationships, our marriages, our friendship, our family units are just like a farmer. We need to prepare ourselves. We need to prepare ourselves in a new relationship, and how that works, and you have to become who you are, and then you have to Then you have to plant. You have to plant that goodness of you into that relationship, and you start doing good things for each other, and little by little it goes, and then the growing season starts, and that relationship starts to grow and fertilize, and it starts to develop itself, and then we get to start to harvest out of that relationship or that marriage or that family. And sometimes the harvest part is the hardest part, because we have to realize that even the farmer has to go through that whole dormant time again in winter, where there are things that just seem like it's nothing, and he's got nothing, but he has to work on his tractor still. He's got to feed the cattle, maybe the chickens, and he's still got to work the farm, and he had to save up to get him through those rough times. And see, that's what we have to do in our relationships, is we have to save up that love. We can't just go, the heck with it. Harvest time is over. Yeah, you know what? I better go look somewhere else to plant something. No. We have to work on it. We have to trust in God. We have to re-prepare the whole thing again. We have to work that soil of the relationship. We have to work the soil of that friendship or that marriage. And then we have to plant new seeds into that relationship, that friendship, that family. And then after all that, we have to still sit back and we have to take all the weeds out. And when the bad comes, we have to pull those weeds and take care of that stuff that we planted in that relationship, that love, that trust, that understanding, that love for one another. We have to weed all that junk out around and all those negative thoughts and feelings that start to come in. And then, we have to put water and rain, and that's our sweat equity into the relationship. We have to work that relationship. We have to let it grow and develop. And then we harvest some more. And then guess what? It starts all over again. We're going to go through some dormant time. We're going to go through some times where it feels stale and nothing's growing or nothing's happening. We have to wait for the sun to come and warm up the earth again, and we have to start the preparedness all over again. And we have to start the treatment of the relationship again. And then we have to plant all new seeds again. And then we have to let that grow again. And it's a season through all relationships. Everything. And that's why God gave us these seasons, to let us know that there's seasons in everything. Our relationships, as the farmer knows. And the farmer puts his trust in God through each one of those seasons, through the preparedness, through the planting, through the growth, and then through the harvest. And as the farmer knows, it's a cycle that starts all over again. And I believe in my own heart, that's why so many relationships and friendships and marriages and family units fall apart, is because we forget. We forget that we have to go through these seasons, and we have to continually prepare, plant, grow, harvest. And then we have to have dormant time again, and we have to start it all over again. And we have to do the whole time, we have to trust God. We have to pray to God. And we have to believe that God is going to bring the rain to help with that growth. He's going to bring that love that he has with his son in both ways. But anyways, I'm just starting to babble now. But that was my lesson for today that God brought to me. And, if you know a farmer, go thank him, because like I said, I don't think I've ever met a farmer that doesn't believe in God, that doesn't pray to God, and doesn't understand the seasons and the develop of a relationship and a family. And so take this message for what it's worth. You have a great day. I have to jump on this road for a little bit, and then I got to go back through the woods again on the snowmobile trail. So you have an incredible day. Take care. God bless.